Alright, continuing on in part 2 of our fraction review, we're going to look at multiplying fraction by fractions first. So, you can multiply two fractions by writing the product of the numerators over the product of the denominators. In our example here, we're multiplying 1 1/2 times 3 1/2. The first step is to get each mixed number into an improper fraction. So 1 1/2 becomes 3 halves, and 3 1/2 becomes 7 halves. Then you multiply the numerators. 3 times 7 is 21. Multiply the denominators. 2 times 2 is 4. So you get 21/4, and then we simplify. So 21/4 becomes 5 1/4. In our two problems here, starting with M, we have 2 3/5 times 1 1/3. So the first thing we need to do is get both mixed numbers into improper fractions. So for the first one, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So we get 13/5. Times 1 1/3, which becomes 4/3, because 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Right, then we're going to multiply across here. So 13 times 4 is 52, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now we need to take the improper fraction back into a mixed number. So 15 goes into 52 3 times, with a remainder of 7. So our answer becomes 3 7/15. For problem N, both fractions are regular fractions and not mixed numbers, so we don't need to worry about getting them into improper fractions. All we have to do here is multiply across. So 9 times 4 is 36, 10 times 5 is 50. We can simplify that. We can divide the top and the bottom by 2. So 36 divided by 2 becomes 18. 50 divided by 2 becomes 25. And we cannot simplify that any further, so our answer is 18/25. The last thing we need to review is dividing fractions by fractions. So, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. For example, 3/5 divided by 2/3 is the same as 3/5 times 3 halves. It's always the second fraction, the divisor, that is flipped that you find the reciprocal for. So, in our example problem, we have 2 4/5 divided by 3/4. So the first thing we have to do, just like when we're multiplying, is get any mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 2 4/5 becomes 14/5, because 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. The 3/4 we then take the reciprocal of, so we're going to flip it upside down, and that's what allows us to change it to multiplication. So our problem becomes 14/5 times 4/3. Multiply across there. 14 times 4 is 56. 5 times 3 is 15. We know 15 goes into 56 3 times with a remainder of 11. So our answer becomes 3 11/15. For the try it here, the first thing they ask us to do is to divide 1/2 by 4/5. So we're going to write in the 1/2, and then we need to multiply by the reciprocal of 4/5 because it's the divisor. So that's going to become 5/4. So then we're just going to multiply across. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 4 is 8. So we get 5/8. And that answer cannot be simplified, so it's going to stay as it is. Right, for B, when we're dividing by a whole number, you need to write that whole number as an improper fraction. So it becomes 3/1. Now we can multiply by its reciprocal. So we get 3/8 times 1/3. Next, we're going to multiply our numerators. So 3 times 1 is 3, and then the denominators, 8 times 3 is 24. 3/24 can be simplified. If we divide the top and the bottom by 3, we're going to get 1/8. So our answer for 3/8 divided by 3 is 1/8. Continuing on here with problem J, we have 4 1/5 divided by 7/8. So the first thing we're going to do is get 4 1/5 into an improper fraction. So 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21. So we get 21/5. Now we need to multiply by the reciprocal of 7/8, so that becomes 8/7. All right, when you're multiplying with fractions like this, we know you can cross simplify to make it easier. So 5 and 8 can't simplify because they don't have any common factors, but 21 and 7 can. So 7 will go into 21 3 times, and it will go into 7 once. By simplifying here, we make our problem a lot easier in the end because we're going to work with smaller numbers, and we're not going to have to simplify when we get to the end result. So now we can multiply across. 3 times 8 is 24. 5 times 1 is 5. Now we just need to take our improper fraction here and turn it into a mixed number. So 5 is going to go into 24 4 times with 4/5 left over. All right, our last problem, we have 2 mixed numbers. So the first step is to get both into improper fractions. So 1 3/4. We're going to do 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7, so we get 7/4. Next, we need to get 1 2/5 in an improper fraction. So 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7, so we get 7/5. Once we get them both into improper fractions, then we can find the reciprocal, the divisor. So it's going to become 7/4 times 5/7. This is another problem where we can cross simplify because 7 goes into 7 once both times. So now we just multiply across. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 4 is 4. Then we need to take our improper fraction and turn it into a mixed number. So 5/4 becomes 1 1/4. All right, please make sure you have filled out all the pages that we've gone through in both videos. Make sure they are glued in your math notebook for class tomorrow.